Welcome everyone to the Countdown Cup Knockout Sunday. I'm ready. I got my energy drink going in. And Jaws, this is gonna be a wild one. Looking at the Hunters and the NYXL as the first series to open things up.
Yep, it is the knockout phase, and you got a mug. I got a mug too, actually. Let me just grab it real quick. I got a lot of coffee in this one, but it's actually a shark-shaped mug, as you can see.
That is actually perfect. On brand.
Pretty cool. I'm gonna put it down before I spill that all over my floor, and I have to clean that up in a minute. Right, okay, yes, Vicky, we are into the knockout stage for the Countdown Cup. I mean, it has been ridiculous. It has been actually ridiculous this year. It felt like it's gone so quickly. We're in our knockout stage of the Countdown Cup where 2 teams will be eliminated today. Don't forget as well, you can actually win a pair of tickets for the Grand Finals. Make sure you head over to the link on screen now, blizzard.wishpond.com/Grand Finals, and you get your chance to win Grand Finals tickets. So yeah, make sure you do that, because the Grand Finals, they're going to be epic, Vicky. Cannot wait until we get there, but first we have to get through this. NYXL and the Chengdu Hunters. First and fourth seed, of course. Vicky, let's quickly talk about how the NYXL actually got here by almost some weird kind of fluke where Guangzhou Charge ended up winning their game, but they didn't win it with enough maps, so they actually didn't make it in regardless of them winning. Kind of tragic, honestly, but that does mean NYXL now get their chance to go to the Countdown Cup. And then we have Dynasty versus Fusion a little bit later.
Yeah, that's going to be taken over by Avril and Achilles. But yeah, why don't we talk about that first series we have coming up, Jaws? I mean, both these teams, specifically the Hunters, have been on a tear throughout this entire stage. Meanwhile, the NYXL, you talked about it, it's a bit of a miracle that we're seeing them here because of the circumstance that allowed them to even be in the knockouts in general. The Charge were right there with them, but losing that one extra map is what really did it in for them and allowed the NYXL to be here today.
Yeah, it was indeed. Let's get to the present, though. NYXL, there is your roster on the screen. Kalios, yes, we'll eventually get his picture. But we have Jonak, Friday, Yukbang, Guangwong, obviously, and Flora as your starting roster today. I've been enjoying seeing this DPS line. I've been excited ever since Flora joined the league. NYXL, with a team of almost rookies. I say almost because we've seen Yukbang a little bit before. Kalios, of course, we've seen as well. But Jonak, very much a veteran figure on the squad with a lot of brand new faces around him. Him and Friday have also been tearing it up, but they are going against some of the toughest opposition in the NA region today, and that is the Hunters. And I say toughest right now because, yeah, guess who didn't make it? The Shanghai Dragons, funnily enough. So, rank 1 seed, Chengdu Hunters, they're not to be messed with. Like you said, Vicky, as well, they have been on an absolute killing spree recently.
Yeah, not only are they leading the Countdown Cup in the East standings, I believe standing at 4-0 just this month, and ahead of the Fusion, who are just currently 3-1, but they're number 2 in the overall standings in APAC. So the Hunters, they want to keep this going. This is a great look for this team. And the NYXL, although they've been able to make some progress from the start of the season to now, again, it's kind of like the same type of situation where it's seeming like they're scraping by just by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, but they can come alive right now, Vicky, right? I mean, this is the time to come alive, of course. Exactly. 4th seed upset and the number 1 seed, and that number 1 being Chengdu Hunters absolutely would be. You'd expect right now the Chengdu Hunters just kind of walk away with this. They had a very easy game yesterday against the Valiant in their last game of the regular season, but now it's a bit more of a tougher competition, right? And let's talk about the DPS, because we always do. We leave and Jinmu. They are going up against Flora and Guangwong, and oh man, the hit scan talent on the NYXL, it's profound. We saw Guangwong and some sick highlight clips the other day with his Widowmaker. I saw some of those on social media as well, NYXL's Twitter page, or their Instagram. I can't remember which one it was, but it was him just tearing face on Havana with Widowmaker. He can't really play it here though, Vicky. That's the only problem. We are going to control first, of course. And in fact, the only 2 series that the NYXL have played against the Chengdu Hunters, they've only ever won 1 map. And that map was Control, Nepal to be precise. And we're not even going there. If they win another map against the Hunters, that's a 100% improvement on their current score against them. So upward tilt battle for them currently.
And the numbers are just not in their favor here. The Hunters have just been on another level. And we talk about the DPS lineup. Jinmu has just been tearing it up this month. The Pharah has just been a threat. I mean, even the month before that. A threat that a lot of these teams just seem to struggle with. But is it going to be a struggle if you're looking at the NYXL's DPS? Talk about Guangzhou. Well, that's going to be the player that's going to deal with that Pharah.
Yeah, he's starting out on the Kree by the looks of it. Of course, Jinmu's on the Pharah, especially this map as well. There's so much verticality and just the vertical cover, that he can use. It feels like the McCree needs a pocket in this instance to stop Jinmu from doing anything. Jinmu's going to be more than safe. You can see him already taking a nice little flank angle and leave up on the high ground as well. They've already been out-rotated by the Hunters, who have a prime position. So much spam and poke damage, and the range fall off as well from this McCree. He's going to be tickling them at range at best. See that headshot? It did a third of Lee's HP. Flora's already dead as the point does unlock, and the Hunters get the cap.
That's all thanks to Yveltal also being right there with that damage boost. Bonbon's going down too. Late Young finding the opportunity. Not only did they get out-rotated, Jaws, but now they're going to be forced to reset. The Hunters playing already aggressively, prioritizing their positioning.
I love Lee's face whenever he gets a kill. His emotion just doesn't change. If he dies, it doesn't change. If he gets the sickest kill in Overwatch history, probably won't change. The guy's a stone-cold killer. He really is. Okay, Jonak has got the nano boost, so he can apply it to Yukfeng and Lee Pin. Flora's trying to set up for something, but already Friday's dead. Like I said, the spam damage, Vicky, is too great for them to bear. It does honestly feel like NYXL have to play this Mercy, or even just a counter Pharah, but Flora or Gongbong, of course, a hit scan superstar, is not going to be able to stand up against Jinmu on this Pharah. And look, Barrage is up. They have Dragons too. The NYXL have not seen it in on this game yet.
Here comes the Dragons. Talk about that right now, trying to block the rotation out, and the Rocket Barrage to block the entrance. That's actually just sandwiching the Excelsior when they don't even know it here. Jinmu is still on a tear, and no one has been able to check him just yet. Jinmu having Yveltal make sure that Jinmu can stay alive for as long as possible, but you have to avoid that Deadeye, and that's why he's getting right back to the rest of the Hunters before re-engaging. Comes the Valk from Monk, trying to keep both of these tanks alive. With Friday activating the rally, the NYXL, they're just trying to get into position, but they're just rotating onto the other side again. They got a touch soon as the Hunters now flip the point right back in their favor.
Yeah, and Friday's dead too. This is going to be the last fight now for the NYXL to try and get back onto the point. They use the rally as well, one of their key tools. Nice sleep by Jonak. Of course he hits those, but can they actually follow it up? There was no nade. Jonak actually ends up going down to Gaga of all people. At least they trade, but now Lee's standing on high ground with the window. Okay.
Okay, so revenge here. Gongbong also finding Lee's head. Nice little cheeky drop down from Lee. NYXL could finally try to stay on this point, but they have to. It's overtime already ticking away. And with the rest coming in, Lee is right back in the action. Kalios goes down, and so does Friday, and the NYXL already at a disadvantage. Yakpeng manages to touch, keeping it into overtime, but for how much longer here? They need to find these picks, Jaws.
Yeah, it's not going to happen though. Late Young is going to kill Flora, and that should just be it. There's the slam and the Storm Arrow to deny the McCree to touch. And wow, what an absolute blowout from the Hunters. And like I said, they got 9%, but it was like a cheeky reflip as the Hunters were trying to reposition against the dive tanks and the Tracer. So yeah, that 9% doesn't really mean a whole bunch. Like, they didn't even win a fight there. Oh boy, Hunters probably just going to run the same thing. This is the comp they've been running with throughout the Countdown Cup. I'd say the Hero Pool has put a small dent on them. They can't play the Ashe, but it actually hinders NYXL's DPS line more than it does Hunters. Hunters' DPS is so flexible. They can play basically anything. And now we see NYXL changing their comp up yet again. So they're going the Wrecking Ball and the Zarya. Still nothing to really check Jinmu in the skies. You can play the Widowmaker, but it's a lot more difficult to get pressure down on the Pharah, as the Pharah can just dive you so easily and you can't set up those shots. And maybe a couple of people going back to spawn for the NYXL, because the Hunters, they just storm onto the point. Galio switching over to the Diva. He knows he has to contend with Jinmu in the sky. I mean, Guogbong maybe lands a couple of nice arrows, Vicky, but it's going to be far from enough pressure to stop Jinmu doing damage.
I also like that swap from Friday. Friday going onto the Mercy. It's exactly what you were talking about just in the last round, where this is going to be a necessity to deal with Yveltal, also giving that pocket to Jinmu. And with the Hunters already taking control over the point, you see the NYXL just trying to move into position, but they have to deal with Leave, who's putting on so much pressure already onto Flora, who has to dip.
That was really nice. He actually timed the recall there and hit him as soon as he came out of it. Couldn't finish up the kill, unfortunately, but forced Flora all the way back without a recall, so he has to wait for that to reset. Youngpunk trying to set something up on the high ground. Monk's going to get pocketed instantly by Yveltal, though, and Kalios loses his mech.
Apparently, Gaga saved by the Immortality Field, managing to keep by the wall, but they could isolate Jonak, and they do. They call him out, and Leaf gets a double real quick. Bonbon's off triple to the other side of the angle, but yeah, the triple from Leave a 3K, and the Amp Matrix to add the cherry on top to the Hunter Sunday. They're going to be able to keep that point, and already at 50%, Jaws.
Yeah, I mean, Gaga's doing Gaga strats as well, where he just hides in a corner too. So if the NYXL want to try and touch the point, he just sits there with a shield in front of him and presses shift. He goes golden if he really needs to. He's almost got Supercharger up as well. Jonak is going to have to hit a hell of a right click right now. They killed Yveltal once, but it wasn't enough to do any damage.
Flora is just trying to get into position, needs to build up that EMP. Bonbon having the Dragons, just sending it forward, and Late Young not only gets DMX, but gets caught in that line of fire. Supercharger now coming in, and Jinmu with a Rocket Barrage, being able to utilize that pillar just in case for some safety, but didn't get Jonak. That's why you saw the Transcendence coming in, finding that headshot onto Jinmu, and now the NYXL can finally get something started here. They're going to be able to move right onto the point, and the Hunters may have to go for a reset if Yveltal can't get away on time. He has a Discord orb on him, but he's still in that Valk.
How is he not
manages to get away? Wow,
How
okay.
is he not dead? He had a Discord orb on him. He was no HP. I mean, the Guardian Angel saved him as the health regen there, regardless if you're in combat or not, is quite apparent. Even if you get hacked too, like, you're just sitting there still regaining HP. It's kind of frustrating if you're shooting at him, but with a Discord you'd expect him to finish him, but they didn't. Okay, Gaga ends up dying, so yeah, not too bad whatsoever. We've actually seen Jinmu trade over his ult charge from the Pharah. He did use Barrage in an earlier fight. And Guangzhou finds he had another pick actually on the hands, though, while I talk about this Sombra.
He's popping off. He's not only found 2 picks here, but he was in position to find Yveltal to punish. The EMP punishes Gaga. Now he goes down. Great follow-up from Flora. And look at this, Bonbon still terrorizing all the rest of the Hunters. He killed 4 in that fight despite Yveltal getting the res.
That was super sick from Kongbong. His Hangzhou, not too shabby. Him and Snipers go hand in hand. I'm a bit surprised Jimu's actually switched over to the Sombra, but thinking about it, all you need is one EMP. One EMP massive on the backline to take out Jonak, and you should be able to win the front fight and the map from there. You're 5% away, of course. Flora used his EMP in the last fight as well. Okay, Jinmu's again trying to set up for this dive or trying to just poke Jonak enough to maybe force a Transcendence.
That was a good attempt here. Meanwhile, Late Young also coming in. The Transcendence is out, actually, yeah. Actually predicting that right now. Jonak, after utilizing that Transcendence, he won't have it for Jinmu when he has that EMP. He's already at 90%. Make it 100. He gets it so quickly. You know, the hack onto Late Young gets demeched, and the Dragons are going to be sent in, isolating Late Young. Also taking a lot of the damage. Great pressure onto the tanks from the NYXL, but they're the ones also dropping like flies. Friday with the Valk trying to keep everybody alive, but it can't go through Monk's damage output. And Jinmu too. Friday getting the res now onto Guangbang, but the post bomb punishes Jonak. Nobody from the NYXL can even touch the point, Jaws. The Hunters with a dominating control for the first point, or rather the first map in the entire series.
That is insane. The Hunters, they are just unfazed, regardless of how much percent the enemy team has. They know exactly their win conditions. They knew they need to build up towards that EMP. They actually EMP'd Flora as well, so they wasn't able to kind of translocate and cause more annoyance in the backline, wasn't able to then build up towards his own EMP. I mean, Leave was just on fire too. There is nothing stopping the Hunters in the Countdown Cup. I mean, this is a stomp currently. We'll see if the NYXL can come back and claim their second map, potentially, against the Hunters in this 2021 season. We'll be right back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League. this season of the Overwatch League.
Oh, what is this? This is carnage!
Yeah, Season 4 was quite the battle. And as with every battle, there is only one victor, one MVP. Get ready. These are your 10 Overwatch League MVP finalists. Sparkle.
Sparkle gets a comfortable 4K there.
I love this guy.
Lip.
This is fantastic from Lip.
Pelican.
What a ridiculous clutch from Pelican.
Leave.
Leave comes to the rescue. This guy is something else.
Hanbin.
Harbin has one for dinner.
Fearless.
Her shot is down. Fearless. Oh, get wrecked.
Izayaki.
Izayaki is popping off. What a ridiculous play.
Prophet.
Prophet finds 3.
Shu.
Q. What a beast in the back line.
Fleda.
Maybe the Madman can do it. And here we go.
The Overwatch League has placed $50,000 on the line. The winner will be determined by you, the fans, along with the Overwatch League casters, teams, and the media. Use the hashtag OwlMVP on Twitter to tag your favorite player by their Twitter handle or in-game tag. You can also cast your vote by going to overwatchleague.com/MVP. Who will be your Overwatch League MVP and win the $50,000 prize? Answer the call and cast your vote today. Voting ends on August 26th.
This is an absolute stop. Siaki doesn't benefit, but he returns to the fight. The stick, oh, beautiful stuff from Amon. That is stunning. Rolls over Fleta, but still gets taken down. He still took a lot of damage from the pulse bomb, even if he used it offensively to kill the Tracer that deployed it.
Big for New York if they can get the pulse cover. Graviton's out. Here's the pulse. It's big. It gets 2 Jaws. New York did just enough to stall and come back in.
Looking to finish off Void here, and he's got a barrage to bring onto the point. It could already be over. Fleta goes down to the micro rockets, and Jinnu cleans up Lip. Nowhere for Fate to run there as he gets bundled up into the corner.
Meanwhile, to that Flora deals with Break. Is that the thing? Pump support. Flora. That is unreal.
Get him a bouquet, man. This guy is absolutely carried. Well, the Hunters, they're looking like they're steamrolling through this series already. 1-0. They took both points on control as well. They look unstoppable, Vicky, but the NYXL, maybe they've got a little bit of a secret weapon in their arsenal. They're actually bringing in Feather for this next map. We're going on to Hanamura. They've got to take another map, Vicky. Come on. I mean, they've only taken one map in the 2 series. They've played against them in 2021. This has to be a second one. I'm hoping for a 5-map series here in the knockouts.
It was potentially a chance, just depending on how that first map went for me, Jaws. Looking at the NYXL, especially since the control point was that map that they took from the Hunters. But we talked a little bit about it during the break, and the way that the Hunters just adapt so quickly, understanding their win conditions at the moment that it's happening, that made a huge difference. Swapping over to the Sombra with enough time to build that EMP allowed the Hunters to, you said it too earlier, the fact that this team could play basically anything, that's what's really scary about this team, aside from the fact that Jinmu is a terror in the air, and then you have to worry about Yveltal getting into position to get those safe reses. It's just insane. So hopefully the NYXL do have that secret weapon.
Yeah, they're going to need it for sure. And let's talk about that real quick, that like adaptability and their ability to just speed run the thought process of changing their comps, because sometimes you'll see teams, especially when they're on the offense, they'll change their comps like several times. They'll walk out and then walk back as soon as they've seen their opposition, then they kind of walk back in again. But Hunters, they just know what to do. As soon as they see or hear anything in the attacker's side, or they hear the defenders, from the attacking side, they know exactly what they want to play. Instant swaps. We saw it on Control 2 when Jinmu was on the Farah on Ruins. He ended up getting picked and he ended up using Barrage, and they were like, okay, we need one more fight. We're going to swap to Sombra comp. Instantly, boom, Tracer out, Sombra out, and then bam, just rushed the EMP. They blew up the NYXL and they managed to win from there. I mean, that's what I love about the Hunters. They're just very, very decisive, and they just know exactly how to play around the enemy comps too. I mean, take out Jonak was, I think, the aim of the game there. Force the Transcendence, unleash that big EMP, and then roll on. Map number 2, like I said, Hanamura, very different style of play as well from both teams, I can imagine, especially now as Feathers coming in for the NYXL. It will be Hunters' turn to attack first too. Jinmu's got to roll out them on the fire again. The reason why they have Yveltal in too, he can play the other supports, but his Mercy is so clean. It's so good. We saw the other day against the Valiant. Yeah, the survivability is crazy, but I'm talking about him just glocking
Battle
people,
Mercy.
jumping in and just smacking people on the head with a pistol over and over and over again. I mean, yeah, maybe it was against the Valiant, yada, yada, yada. But still, it looks cool, and he's one of his best heroes. And him and Jinmu make the perfect pair for it.
I'm here living for it. Any type of Battle Mercy play that I could get on my screen, I'm living for it. Especially looking at the way that Yveltal's been able to play this stage. So clean. Being able to have that backup onto Jinmu, have that damage boost. Then you have to worry about Yveltal getting back into position to res Jinmu just in case he was distracted and rezzing, or not rezzing, but rather healing up Gaga and Late Young. But it's the NYXL that start off on the defense here, Jaws, and they're bringing in Feather.
Yeah, they're going to just whack him on the Sombra. Maybe expecting Hunters to run the Sombra comp again. We haven't seen a lot of Sombra, normally like kind of snipers. TP's forward for the Hunters, but Jinmu Farah, we've got Leave on the Sombra. And of course Monk on the Ana as well to help support from range. He's going to be a little bit more vulnerable to dives and getting picked off as well by someone like Flora. Yukpung, it can play super aggressive with Kalios, for example, but the problem is you're splitting a lot of your focus. Speaking of splitting focus, already you can see on the high ground, the Hunters managed to rotate left, but Yveltal's already dead.
I feel like we jinxed it almost, because Yveltal being the first one to go down isn't as common as you usually see it, but when Jonak's on the Zen, that Discord Orb is going to be something you have to look out for.
Yeah, you just perma-Discord the Mercy in these situations. Jinmu can kind of fly around, he's getting healing, just focus the Mercy, then focus Jinmu later. That's the aim of the game. Stop that Mercy healing as well. Just the passive healing. Nice hack onto Kalios. Look at that ult charge from Leave, actually. They're almost body blocking him. Jinmu does end up going down. Luckily enough for the NYXL, they're able just to corral around the Hunters. And a hack on Yveltal. He should be dead here.
Oh, he actually, no, he gets saved by Jinmu, who crushes out Feather here. And as Chung is on the back, you currently have the rest of the Hunters that could go through that choke point, but it's NYXL that are just finding their heads. All the NYXL are doing such a good job at finding the Hunters when they're split up as far as they are, but Jinmu is on the back lines with Yveltal still.
NYXL is so quick to respond, like super fast. Oh, that sleep is deadly. Can Leave go over in time for a hack? No, he can't. Lei Young loses his mech as well in the process. This is not good for the Hunters right now. They've gone through half their time bank. Leave is eventually built up towards the CMP, but everybody's so spread out from the NYXL right now, and Jonak already has the Transcendence.
Ooh, the EMP going in from the room, but Jonak is saved as he has a Transcendence. Pulling the trigger on that Friday now with the rally. Kalios gets hit with a big anti, taking a lot of that damage. Yveltal's the first one to go down. That's why it's so lethal here when you have the Zenyatta and Jonak popping off, keeping the NYXL here as the foundation. And look at the way they're moved up already. They see it. They see the Hunters have a limited time bank already, less than 2 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, and they've used the EMP as well. There is no way you catch Jonak, of all people, out with an EMP right in front of your face. Okay, Leaf actually kind of knows where Feather is positioned at this point, plus knows where his translocator is, so maybe they do something with that information. Jinmu going aggressive again, but he gets instantly hacked. He's trying to surf, but it's not going to work. Flora, Jonak, everybody's just going to follow up on those hacks. I love the way Feather is playing, Vicky. He's playing defensively, knowing that Jinmu and Yveltal want to dive to the backline and try and find these assassination kills.
So he's placing himself in the perfect position, and meanwhile, the rest of the Hunters are still managing to find this first take. Leaf gets hit with that Discord, the follow from Yapung to close things out. Mindfield's coming out to try to stop that rotation from the NYXL, but they're hanging on to the backline. The Rocket Barrage now into Feather. Also getting Leaf back into the action. Ooh. Now the Hunters are biting right back with Jinmu getting Flora. Currently just trying to still put on a lot of that pressure damage, but the Hunters aren't giving up their position. They're taking things slowly.
They are. Transcendence has been blown from Jonak. He wants to be able to stabilize this fight.
Maybe backing off here, just helping out Friday, taking some damage. Kalios also gets hacked, but Friday gets hit with a direct rocket. Jinmu also getting powered up. Hunters are going to be able to get that second take, and the NYXL with Jonak isolated into that side room with just Yapung there to help heal for them. They're still here. They're still here to contest, and the Hunters haven't been able to get this first point just yet with less than 20 seconds.
Yeah, Gaga actually gets rezzed eventually, but there's so many small little fights happening everywhere. EMP comes out, finally hits Jonak, and hits Kalios as well. Feather also hacked, but it shouldn't matter all too much. I say that as Leaf just gats him down. What? They are touching still, though, and Leaf just going to town. He finds another one. Ooh, gets the hack onto Flora too. He will fall.
Wow.
Okay. They eventually get there in the end, but it was overtime. It was just a fantastic EMP from Leaf there. Hit 4 people. They take out Jonak and Kalios instantly, and that was the fight. 3 minutes now out of their time bank as they storm second. Big EMP, that's all they need. At this point, a little bit easier to kind of execute on with the Sombra. There's only a few spaces where the defenders like to sit, either near the spawn on the high ground or even on the forward high ground. But more or less on the stairwell here. Jonak is going to get dove on.
Oh, yeah, they wasted no time to focus onto Jonak, and he becomes victim to those minefields. Meanwhile, the EMP onto late young Yveltal, but with Yveltal having the Valkyrie already activated, can get right back and attached to Jinmu. Leaf now finding Flora. The follow between Jinmu and Leaf has just been insane. Every single time Jinmu lands at one rocket, Leaf is right there. Already 2 ticks in favor for the Hunters. NYXL desperately trying to escape the spawn with this rally. Can help stabilize Jonak as he's taking some damage. Leaf has the EMP now. Gaga getting hacked and he gets taken down. Diva Bomb getting sent over by the health pack, but Kalios doesn't find anybody. Currently, Jinmu is still finding these picks between Yapung and Floor, and Jonak has a Transcendence.
What a Transcendence.
He saved. That was a great positioning on his part, too. Manages to stabilize the rest of the NYXL, and look at the Hunters' positioning. They're playing so passive-aggressive, Jaws, but no one's finding picks just yet, except for Jinmu, who still hasn't been checked, minus the fact that he's taking a lot of damage from those Discord orbs, but he can't be finalized. You have Monk with the super, with a nano boost, and currently, Yveltal being able to help stabilize him as he has the barrage. What can you do at this point? The NYXL are struggling and getting out of their own spawn.
Oh my goodness. That fight lasted, what, 2 years, I think? Wow, that was the scrappiest fight I've ever seen on Hanamura second. Saved by Jinmu, got the nano boost, started a one-rocketing people. The amount of time Feather as well took to actually hack Jinmu. Jinmu was very good at skirting around these hacks, which was how the Hunters kind of failed their offense a couple of times on point A, was Jinmu going aggressive and Feather getting the hack. He was skirting around them so easily this time. My word, that was ridiculous. So many small things happened in that fight. It's kind of hard to wrap that one up with a nice little bow on top.
The first fight, too, for that first point was very similar, actually. Very scattered around, almost having their, like, separate 1v1s.
I mean, that's kind of the nature of the comp, though. You have Wrecking Ball, D.Va, you have Pharah, Mercy, you have Sombra and Tracers. Like, there's so many of these small duels happening throughout the map, and it will favor the defenders because there's if you're going for these 1v1s, 2v1s, 2v2s, kind of these small scraps, people aren't dying extremely quickly. You're not focusing one target, just blowing them up unless it's Jimmu eventually getting a nano like we saw. So the defenders going to have the spawn advantage when people go down very slowly, but it was just that big barrage into the nano that really just set them up there for the take. And 1 minute and 21 seconds as well. Not the worst time bank. They get over a minute, which is nice, and the NYXL got a tall task ahead of them now in trying to complete this map. Feather, though, on the Genji. Okay, Jonak on the Ana as well, so big nano blades I expect, but who are you really going to focus here as well? I mean, Monk's going to have the immortality field, but you're not going to be able to kill Gaga that quickly, especially as he's got that shift burn, the fortify, does a pretty good job at deleting a lot of that damage.
Oh, the priority here is Yveltal. You certainly see Kalios just trying to scatter them off of his high ground, but Jinwoo's not going to give that up too easily before demecking Kalios, and Leave helps clean up the scraps left behind. Like this look here from the Hunters, but the NYXL, they were just trying to figure out what positioning they could kind of approach the Hunters, but Jonak finding Yveltal, that's a great start here, but they're forced to back off. They don't want to overextend.
Yeah, you can't underestimate the damage of Ana, like, ever. It takes 3 shots to kill the Pharah or 200 HP's target. Nice kill by Lee, but they trade for Jinmu.
Like the comms, actually, that we're seeing from Jonak, immediately knowing that they wanted to focus down Gaga. The nano boosts onto Kalios here. It's allowing him to get really aggressive. The follow-up, Gaga can't do anything. Jonak finishes him off as his back was turned to him. The Hunters have now lost 2, and they've lost the Ant Matrix. The NYXL wasting no time to get onto this point. Ready 2 takes in their pocket. The Hunters may just want to hold back here.
Yeah, remember, Hunters finished capping point A in OT. Now look at the time bank of the NYXL, 5.5 minutes. It's looking rather winnable. Maybe not this fight, considering the ults from the Hunters. The lack of nano and blade for the NYXL. And they didn't do a crazy amount of damage. He's only up to 60% on the blade. Like, Jonak is going to be able to lap him almost here with a nano coming up. Rather common though, of course. Ana gains a lot of ult charge just by healing and doing a little bit of damage. Plus it's Jonak. Starting us off with a pulse bomb will be big. Or even a rally.
Oh, there's that rally, and Yveltal with the Valk. Lee popping up with the Dragons, finding Jonak and Feather. As Feather trying to approach with that hallway here, Leaf gets hit with so much, but Yveltal not only is right there, but the immortality field helps him out. That was great awareness. He's still popping off. Just the fact that you have Monkey and Yveltal right there to help heal for you, that was fantastic here. And now Leaf is already pulling all the way up to see if he can find any stragglers.
Yeah, that was a really sick response from Leaf. As soon as that rally was popped, he knew exactly where everybody was, of course, in the top left-hand corridor. So use the Dragon Strike to split everybody. Not everybody's going to get the rally armor in that situation either because they are so split. Jonak taking a lot of damage. Jimmu and Yveltal just playing to their spawn. They're peppering them so much. Ideally, NYXL is a 4v6 if they run straight forward. They're going to have Nanoblade online as well fairly soon. You just kind of ignore the Pharah. I know it's not the best strat in the world, but in this situation when it's 4v6 and the Pharah's behind you, it's worth going for.
I'm just scared here with their positioning. If they funnel themselves in the hallway, you have Jimmu not only on your backline, but he has the Rocket Barrage. Also getting away, but he can't get away in time. The Rocket Barrage to answer right back, but Jonak punishing Jinmu the moment he presses that button. With the nano boost here going in from Jonak, there's the opportunity, the nano blade, but the immortality field gets deleted immediately. Monk tries to jump away. The NYXL fully capitalizing off of that first pick onto Jinmu. Now cleaning things up from the Hunters as they were trying to hold that high ground, Jaws. They're going to be able to push into their spawn, and look at this time bank that they have for themselves. 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, Yveltal ends up going down. Can it be touched? No, they cannot. The NYXL, 3 minutes and 30 seconds, or 29 seconds on the board. What an offense from the NYXL. They picked off greedy Jinmu and greedy Yveltal, who was behind them the entire time, and a very, very nice juggle of damage too. I want to speak about that very briefly before we move on to this next round. Yukpunk and Kalios. They're on the Winston and on the D.Va. The Mercy takes only 1 second before that passive kicks in, that regeneration of HP, which saves Mercy a lot of the time, especially when she uses Shift to get to the Pharah high in the sky. Normally that's enough time to start regenning HP. Winston, D.Va don't do a lot of damage when they're at long range. You know, D.Va fires little literal... they might as well be frozen peas at you from a mile away. So being able to kind of juggle yourself up in the air, Kalios goes in first, then Yukpong follows up, stops the Mercy from regaining that passive, regaining the HP, and took out Yveltal as quick as you like. Of course, that Guardian Angel, not Guardian Angel, sorry, the Shift is on a very, very short cooldown too. So, or yeah, it's Guardian Angel, sorry, Valkyrie's the ultimate. It was just really nice play, just the slow follow-up on the Mercy that was gliding down, stopping that HP regen. But anyway, that was a very small thing. Let's get on to the bigger picture. 1 minute and 20 seconds for the Hunters now on the offense versus 3 minutes and 29. This could be a W here for the NYXL if they just repeat what they did last round. They are going to be on the defense again with the Sombra. Hack Jinmu was the name of the game last time around. Is Jinmu and Yveltal, are they going to change up the game plan here, Vicky? Are they going to play a little bit more passively now, knowing Feather is looking for these instant hacks?
Seeing the history between the Hunters, I do think they are going to play this differently. Maybe not hang in their backline as much as they were. Jinmu was getting punished a lot from Feather, but they have such limited time that they need to move in. Jinmu already starting off this aggression, just trying to boot them off of that ground, but Yveltal going down first is not exactly how you want to start this. Kalios gets traded as he gets demeched immediately, and Jinmu's like, all right, that's fine. I have Gaga right here before moving in, and the Hunters are winning in terms of number advantage. Now Flora just having to get away. He may not be able to. Gaga's not trying to overextend. They know that they're trying to stay on this point. They have less than 30 seconds to fully capture it.
Yeah, and they know as well, Friday is the only healer on the field. As soon as you use those cookies, he's going to be pretty useless in terms of healing. Well, not useless, I guess, if you're close to people, but Gaga's just going to run over you if that's the case. Jinmu ends up getting rezzed as well, Vicky. 15 seconds to go.
Yveltal being able to come back from the spawn and being able to get Jinmu back in this fight. They have less than 10 seconds now. The NYXL, they still find Gaga. Leon also taking a lot of that damage as Yveltal is so fixated on Jinmu, but the Dragons and Jinmu getting the boot. Meanwhile, the Dragons from Flora don't clear the point in the way that they want, and OT's taking away the Rocket Barrage, blocking every entrance from the NYXL into entering this point. He's popping off, and this is your worst nightmare if you're dealing with the Hunters, and specifically Jinmu's Pharah. Now they have to rush to that second point, and they've been able to sleep Yakpon, so they know that he's staggered.
God, Jinmu is so cracked on the Pharah. Oh my word! A nice boop off, kills Kalios, gets the barrage because he killed a D.Va at basically 100 HP. That's a lot of ult charge. Oh my goodness, Jinmu with the plays on point A. That's what they need. 10 seconds to go though, Leaf's almost got the EMP.
Oh, I can't believe what I'm seeing. Oh, he tried to utilize it, but he gets shut down immediately. Kalios also getting hit with the anti, and Yveltal getting Leaf back into the action after having that Valve to reposition. Gaga gets stunned, and Jonak takes him down. Now the NYXL have that advantage. They have the EMP. It's found Leaf and Yveltal, and Leaf gets taken out. The NYXL, they successfully hold them back. The Hunters, they can't touch this point with this minefields out. At least try to push it into overtime, but they can't. The minefields would not have let them. Not enough time, but they still managed to get that first point, Jaws.
God, the Hunters were so rushed there at the end. You saw Leaf just desperately trying to build up towards that EMP. He managed to get it, unleashed it, but he was 20 HP when he did so. He got bopped, and he went down. EMP didn't even register. It went off, he lost the ult, and he lost his life. He did get rezzed, but the NYXL were coming back with their own EMP. And, of course, an EMP in that situation, when it's OT and you're on the defense, the Hunters, where are they going to be? They're going to be on the point. So it's a pretty hard EMP to mess up if you're the NYXL. Of course, they didn't, and they managed to wipe them. And now with 3.5 minutes in a very clear win condition. Point A, and then 33% on point B. And they'll be granted their second map win against the Hunters. Out of the 8 games that they've played, they are currently 1-7 map score against the Hunters right now. So, yeah, they need this. It is the knockout stage too, Vicky. Do not forget. The NYXL go down here. They will not go to the Countdown Cup.
Literally all for nothing here. Love the way that the NYXL are also noticing that the Hunters are doing a really good job at pressuring Jonak. So with Friday being on this Brigitte, preventing Gaga from putting on that pressure, saw how quickly Gaga got melted down. Now with the NYXL having much more time in their own time bank, they could take this a little bit slower, but maybe not as slow as I was thinking with Flora going down first.
Very nice, very nice. That buys a little bit of time.
I will not waste this opportunity.
Time is what they need. Jimmy just needs this barrage online. I normally suppress Q to die button, but his success rate with barrages is crazy good. Jonak goes down as well.
What?
Wow, okay, so even more time burnt off. Perfect. That's, what, like 40 seconds off of 2 picks? That's not bad at all. I mean, Flora is in the back line now, and Jinmu is trying to hunt for him, but I don't think he knew where he actually went.
He's still putting up that pressure by the front choke point. Well, they do know that Flora is there. Flora maybe trying to at least split some attention if he does touch. Currently, you see the start here as Flora is already on the point. Just waiting for the opportunity. If the Hunters are so fixated on this front choke point, they do contest, though. Don't let that free tick go to waste. Flora's still uncontested as he's going to hang out by the health pack, just trying to find Veltal. That would have been absolutely huge, but he's hanging out dangerously close to the Hunter's back line. The lookout here is Jinmu's low, but so is Gaga, and Jinmu goes down first. Despite Lee finding Feather here, they do trade that. Yakpeng also goes down from the NYXL. They're at a tied number advantage here, but the spawn advantage is going to go in favor to the NYXL. The Nano Boost now wasting no time from Jonak onto Kalios. He's going to hang out by that health pack, finding Monk as the Amp Matrix has been released. But Monk goes down and Leaf manages to find Kalios, but look at the way that the Hunters are forced to play now with the rest of the Hunters making their way back from the spawn.
Yeah, they have to wait for Jinmu and Yveltal to come back. Lei Young ends up going down, losing his mech too. That'll be Gaga falling as well. Very little protection for the Orisa when the Diva has disappeared. They get the res, but the point is already taken by the NYXL. 2 minutes to go now. And they will claim this next map. They just need that 33%. Maybe waiting for a Nano Blade. Maybe just going in with this Pulse Bomb and using the Blade and the Nano halfway through the fight. The Hunters sitting on a wealth of ultimates of their own. The Dragon Strike last time around rendered NYXL completely useless when Friday used this rally. He's setting up in the same position, by the way, Vicky. He knows they have rally.
Now they're dropping down. Here comes the Dragons. Blocked the way where they could go. That was so free for him. What? Leave. Finding both of the supports. Noticing, all right, they're going to utilize the rally, trying to engage through mid. Okay, that's fine. And now the Hunters didn't even have to use any of their ults, minus just that Dragon. That's actually in a great position now for the Hunters, and they can move up. They can get into the position.
Friday's rallies. I mean, maybe at the right time, yes, as you're going through the choke, but you gotta know, Leaf has the Dragon Strike there. You don't have a Lucio either to kind of move out the way ASAP. That was a disastrous offense there for the NYXL. This could very well be a draw if they don't play their cards right, but Nanoblade is coming up. Leaf with the EMP could render that Nanoblade pretty useless. One small hack on the Genji, forcing him to play basically floor Genji. He can't wall climb or use the resets. They're just waiting for Nanoblade here. That's all they're doing.
And Jonak has the Nano Boost now. Just waiting for that opportunity. Start the engagement. Gaga is holding onto those stairs. Built his own house already.
There it is.
Less than a minute now. So they do get back on the primal from Yakpeng. So he dives into the point. Feather gets hacked after utilizing the blade. And Jinmu kills himself. Too close. Utilizing that rocket by the wall. Meanwhile, Feather's found Gaga, and with the supercharger not on board, currently have the Hunters making some desperate swaps with Jinmu onto the Doomfist. Lei Young with the reset. Can he get back into his mech? He's won. He can't. Kalios finds him, but Jinmu comes back from the spawn, and they're not there to touch the NYXL. They do it, and they win map number 2, tying up the series and bringing up their map set 2 to 2-7.
Oh my goodness. A win for the NYXL. They finally found their second map win against the Hunters this year. And that was all off the back of that Nanoblade as well. I just don't think Leaf could have found him. I just think he was getting pressured out. Ideally, the hack target was the Nanoblade there to force him to just play on the ground with no resets. A phenomenal offense for the NYXL, regardless of that rally play into the Dragons. They tie up the series 1 apiece. This is going all the way, Vicky. I can feel it. We're going to jump to a quick break. Do not go anywhere. It's the knockout stages of the Countdown Cup.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. Map number 3 is Kings Row, and NYXL have doubled their wins against the Hunters this season, Vicky. It's going to be a good one. Very, very small changes as well for the NYXL. Guangzhou is coming actually back in, so more hit scan, yes, please. But what a Hanamura for NYXL there. There were a few little hiccups here and there, let's be honest with ourselves, but the utilization of the Nano Blade, it worked out so well. Those quick adaptations that we praised the Hunters for a little bit earlier on, yeah, they were definitely quick, but Leave was just unable to hack that Nano Genji at the very end, and you just went to town. Plus, they're almost punishing Hunters as well for going a little bit too greedy and too aggressive with Jinmu and Yveltal on the Pharah. Another big tool that Hunters have been using throughout the season.
I would say there was 2 crucial moments where they punished Jinmu and Yveltal for being in their backlines, and those are the 2 moments where they were able to just full send it on the Hunters. And I feel like if they keep that up as we go on to map number 3, this could easily be a map 5 series like you wanted, Jaws. So let's see the NYXL. Don't sleep. This is APAC after all, Jaws. And I feel like everything is just opposite day when I take a look at APAC and just apply logic to it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a magical cylinder incident, I think. And with Kings Row coming up too, I think the Hunters are just going to stay the same as they have been, right? I mean, there's no point really to change. It's definitely their best comp in the meta. And these hero pools, we spoke about it a little bit, but it definitely hinders NYXL a little bit more than the Chengdu Hunters, just because of the variety of compositions. But if you think about how Chengdu Hunters played Kings Row last time we saw them, which was basically Gaga making a Minecraft house on the statue with a mini pack, and he just sits there, and that's all he does is stop people rotating. That's how they ended up winning against the Valiant. You could say it's for a very... There's a few other reasons why they won against the Valiant, but I mean, having a defense like that where Gaga could basically just sit alone, isolated, and every now and then pop his head out for heals, like that's going to be a little bit more difficult, I think, for the NYXL to really deal with. They've very much relied on this duo dive to get to Yveltal and take him out of the skies with Jinmu. If Gaga's sitting there kind of peppering your tanks and then peppering the back line as you move past him, you're probably going to land yourself in a little bit more hot water.
I love watching Gaga play, which is hilarious because when it comes to watching Orisa or playing Orisa, it could be a little bit of a bore, but when you have Gaga playing Orisa, I feel like I'm watching Gaga play a completely different game. Just like playing his own game and having fun with it. You talk about building houses, well, hanging out on that health pack like we saw during the LA Valiant series just yesterday. It's always so entertaining.
It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny.
So the way he was playing was so weird.
Yeah, he just sat there in the corner. Like, what? What Orisa does that, you know? Proper kind of evil toaster.
Without the shield out, too, first. It's like, oh, they don't know where I am, so they can't set up for positioning. Like, they're going to think that it's safe to rotate around the statue, but it was actually me. I'm right here.
Oh, you can see. I was going to say, please say we get some cam action there of Late Young eating a banana. Just fueling up for the series ahead. Excellent work. I love how this year, especially Vicky, with the more consistent player cams, we've had so many like players drinking soda or water, and eating bananas is kind of the favorite snack of a lot of Overwatch players. It's been quite funny to see, honestly. Good for you too. Potassium,
yeah,
very good
actually,
for your brain. Potassium.
Also really good at keeping you awake too. Really good before workout snack. Getting into the game already, NYXL, they're the ones on the defense. Hunters, already getting pretty aggressive here. You see Jinmu getting the hack on the health back. Late Young making sure Yakun can't cause any trouble on those backlines, forcing him to go right back to the rest of the NYXL.
Bit of a different comp here than what I was talking about, actually, from the Chengdu Hunters. On the offense, they like to run this more dive style. On the defense, they switch it up with the Orisa.
Oh,
whoa, what a headshot. Oh,
okay,
my word.
what? That was crazy.
The dude is
like
crazy on snipers,
second.
like I said before. Like, super good. He was one of my players to look out for at the start of the season. Gaga's going to get chased away. That was almost an entire tick there for the Hunters, too. Nice hack onto Late Young as well. Not going to result in all too much as Gaga attempts to get healed up. But a little bit of an int there, straight into the back line. But enough damage was done to Jonak. But still, Guangzhou just doing so much work in the back line. Another insta-kill on Yveltal. He cannot catch a break.
Yveltal's not having fun. Every single time Yveltal puts down that shield for 1 second, Guangzhou's right there to make sure that he regrets it. Also, it's unfortunate Gaga rolling right into Jinmu's line of sight, gets hacked, but they find Guangzhou and they're going to be able to move right back onto the point, wasting no time as the NYXL are forced to rotate through the building before diving right back in the middle here. Leaves still on the other side, so it's also forcing the NYXL to split some of that attention. Hunters are just going to move on to this point for free.
Pulse bomb didn't result in anything. Nice re-engage. Chuck Pung's in trouble, though.
Yep, not only can he not get away, but he took so much damage from the Discord Orb. The Hunters have successfully captured the point, get the payload moving out of the garage. Meanwhile, the NYXL, they're still finding these picks, but it's just a matter of time before the Hunters roll out from the spawn. They have to deal with Bonbon, who's still on that high ground as he comes back, and he's found Jinmu while he's at it too. NYXL are going to be able to build into so many of these ultimates for this next choke point. It's going to be so difficult, but they're wasting as much time as they possibly can away from the Hunters.
Wow, Late Young really uses the self-destruct there to get a remake. I got to question that. Oh, that seems a bit of a waste. Not a bit of a waste, that was a waste. I mean, you already won the fight. Especially in these streets of Kings Row 2, that self-destruct can be used to such devastation. Speaking of devastation, Jinmu now versus Flora. The EMP versus EMP, and then Monk, of course, versus Jonak. One of his idols, actually, as a player. Oh, Jinmu, look at this. His positioning is perfect.
Oh, he's found Jonak. Meanwhile, Flora, that was where he got scared. He got scared, and now the Dragons have come up, but this works out as the NYXL at least get the 2 picks, but he won't have Trans to deal with Jinmu. And that's going to be the main difference here because Monk has the Trans to deal with Flora's EMP.
That was so nice. I'm not even sure what Jinmu even did to force Jonak's Trans there. I think Jonak heard the unstealth and then a translocate away for Jinmu, and that's what really scared him. That is very uncharacteristic of Jonak there. However, that, though, not so much. Him killing other supports.
Yalto going down again. That's the rally not in this fight. He may not even want to bring this fight. Losing too many heads and too quickly. The NYXL now can move up, and they have control over this corner around the payload. So difficult to get through that initial choke point here.
Friday has the rally, so this can be another big tool to stop this EMP from going off. But activating it early is key. You have to just attempt to know when Jinmu is going to use this EMP. Flora maybe looking like he wants to go early. The rest of the team are kind of set up for this too. His Translocate has been destroyed though. Here comes the rallies.
Oh, here he goes though, the EMP, but because he got rolled in through the side, he was out of that line of sight. That was actually insane timing right there. Now the Transcendence comes out from Monk to help stabilize the Hunters. At least help them get into position, avoiding that Diva Bomb. But the Dragons, the remap pick onto Yveltal. This is not Yveltal's map, but it's okay because the rest of the Hunters are there to win the fight. Everybody was in that room, and the EMP allowed everybody to get the follow-up. The Excelsior won't be in that fight.
That was a crazy heads-up play from Gaga there. Not sure if it was 100% intentional, but he rolled through Flora, pushed him back so the EMP hit nobody. Like 0 people. That was ridiculous from Gaga. Flora is going to be able to touch. However, there's no ultimates really here for the NYXL. Maybe Jonak gets this Transcendence to keep them in the fight. But the pulse from League might just be too good. Jonak goes down.
It is too good. Jonak going down. He won't have the Transcendence. He was so close to it too, and it could have at least helped stabilize the fight. Now with the Hunters taking the second point, 3 minutes in the time bank, and now they're also going to be able to have this upcoming corner as the NYXL had trickled in for that fight.
Leave always finds the perfect pulse bombs. Jonak was the only person there to have an ult that may have saved the NYXL. Jimmy's going to have to be a little bit more careful. He's against a McCree at this point, but nice hack onto Jonak. He can't use the Transcendence. They're going to burst him down, and Gaga finds 2. Jimmy follows up with another kill onto Friday as well. That is such an amazing hack. Again, they are tracking Jonak's ult so well. They know they only need to hack him to make sure they get a lot of free push. The NYXL, though, luckily have 2 support ultimates, that Transcendence and the rally for this last fight now.
The pile drive, too, just being able to go forward right when Monk had that disc order. The rally to keep the NYXL on this point, but the EMP can't be avoided. It's found Kung. Friday's still safe, and so is Jonak with the Transcendence to help stabilize the rest of the NYXL. But Monk is also right there, and he saved Late Young. Late Young took so much of that damage, and they don't stay on the point. They're not on the point. The grab was right there, too, from Kalios. And the EMP, they had the tools, Jaws. They had the tools, but they gave so much respect to the Hunters.
Oh my word, a C9 after Flora, yet there has been so many forcings of the Transcendence here by the Sombras. Flora also forced Monk to use the Transcendence there. He threw his Translocator in the air and then cancelled it instantly, and Monk hit the Q key, expecting that EMP to come out from Flora. But they're just the C9. Well, they rolled 2 people away, in fact, so I guess you can't really count that as a C9. That was just another fantastic movement, like positional movement there by Gaga, pushing both tanks away from the payload. I wouldn't really call that a C9, but I guess maybe, as Jonak was leaping towards it too. But Gaga once again showing up big, just rolling through people with the fireball, displacing them, forcing either massive cooldowns to be used like the EMP we saw in Streets phase, or both tanks off the point there to net them those 3 points on the board. 2 minutes and 2 seconds as well on the time mag. And now we see the classic Hunters defense with Gaga sitting in the corner with the Orisa.
Yeah, just so entertaining to watch, Gaga. So having such a great season too. Talk about rolling out and also preventing Flores' EMP on landing on the Hunters after getting through that first choke point was absolutely insane. Now though, as Gaga gets in position, building that house by the statue, the rest of the Hunters waiting for that opportunity before Kalios actually makes a quick swap off the Zarya back to the D.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, you pick Zarya there if Jimu's not running Pharah, maybe. I still think D.Va provides a little bit more value. The defense matrix is just so good at negating the damage from the Sombra, which the Chengdu Hunters may have been running. But now it's going to stop a lot of the rockets damage and the arrow damage as well from leaving Jinmu. It's all about setting up here. You can see Gaga, yep, guess what he's doing? He's on the side, he's put a shield on himself, and he's just going to sit there. And stop the rotation. Because, Vicky, think about this too. As soon as the NYXL jump down, they have to kind of deal with Gaga in some way. They just have to deal with him. They can't just let him sit there and just let the team sponge damage. There you go. Okay, that's how you deal with him. Discord him and just run him over.
Very true. Yeah, you have to split up some of that focus fire, but with Friday right there, they get Jonak right back into the action. The Hunters are kind of split up here, and with Jinmu having this rocket barrage and they're falling asleep, I mean, yeah, solo barrage that, but they do shut down Jinmu. Kalio's trying to react as quickly as possible, but didn't do anything about Yveltal, who has the res, who managed to get Jinmu back in the fight. Yveltal taking a lot of damage, but he somehow survives. His survivability is insane. Unfortunately, the same can't be said about Jinmu in this exact situation. Now the NYXL are trying to push in.
He was in the NYXL spawn. I think Yveltal kind of lost him there. Jinmu went a little bit too far. Dragons split people up. No ticks have been acquired just yet. Gaga does get hacked, but a beautiful sleep from downtown stops the Baby D from remeching. They trade tanks, but I'm not sure they can go in with this. Without the pressure from Kalios and the protection as well, it's going to be hard for them to take a lot of this space. You can see Leighton juggling the point right now.
Flora also getting hit with that direct rocket shot. Flora's already getting into the back line, trying to find Jinmu. Yveltal has the EMP. It's found 4. Huge EMP. Meanwhile, Leiyong also gets hacked. Guangbang still goes down, though, and Yveltal is the first one to go down from the Hunters. Won't have that Valkyrie, but Monk has that nano boost and putting it onto Jinmu. Doesn't have the rocket barrage, but look how much focus the NYXR are putting onto Jinmu alone. That's the problem. It's going to be Kalios who does find Jinmu, but the rest of Kalios' team have been taken out. The worry is you have to get back into position, but now the NYXL have less than a minute and 30 seconds to get this point.
Jinmu didn't even need to fire a rocket there. He done his job by just distracting Kalios long enough for Leave to find picks. For everybody else, well, he's dead. That's unlucky. He thought there was a little bit of a doorway there he could stand in. Not quite. Not quite, unfortunately, Leave.
Things did not go according to plan. That was not a window for you to jump through. Meanwhile, Monk and Gaga, they're gone. Yveltal does find Leave. And that's actually the reason what happens, but Yveltal's going in, the Battle Mercy that we were looking at. So Yveltal managed to go right back, heal up Yakung, and build into that next round of a Valkyrie for that next fight.
They're still managing to hold on. 45 seconds remains now for the NYXL to take point A. They've not even found a tick either. Gaga and Leighton have done a fantastic job of juggling and making sure the NYXL are having to pay so much for every inch of space that they need.
Any sort of real estate, but you have to look out for these Dragons trying to block that rotation. The D.Va Bomb, the Hunters are sending out everything that they have here as Friday activating the Valk, trying to get the res, does get it on Guangbang, but the Pulse Bomb on to Leave immediately after. The rest of the team here, the Hunters, also having the res, but look at their positioning. They're holding them back by the choke point, but Jinmu won't be in this fight. He can't build up this EMP, and the NYXL need to touch the point. It's going to be Yakpong, but he needs to stay on it. He has the minefields, but he's taking a good amount of damage. The NYXL are going to have time to get right back to contest.
Yeah, there's the Dragons trying to split people up. They do find the contest on the point. The Dragons do a fair bit of damage to Gaga, and he ends up going down.
Now a boost onto Leighton to keep him alive in this fight. Yveltal with the Valkyrie too to keep the rest of the Hunters sustained. But with the Transcendence now coming in from Jonak, they need to find these picks. The NYXL, they're winning in terms of numbers. Leap won't be in this fight. Jinmu has an EMP, huge EMP onto 5, but nobody else to follow up for when you have those minefields blocking your rotation onto the points. They're still not giving this up yet though. Jaws, the NYXL are still finding numbers, but so are the Hunters. But the Hunters have less of an advantage when you have your heads just falling right back into the spawn. NYXL successfully get this payload moving, but in overtime at that.
Oh man, I was going to call that a little bit of a waste of an EMP from the Hunters there, but it very much looked like they could have won that. A bio grenade landed on both Jonak and Friday, and the slam from Gaga too ended up clearing up them both, but they didn't have enough damage and sustainability to march on. Plus, Hunters are swapping at this point as well, so using the EMP. Not so much of a waste, because Jinmu in the skies, on the streets phase, is going to be a nightmare to deal with. Especially since Kalios, he is too far into the Zarya. The sunk cost fallacy at this point, reigning quite true for him. He doesn't want to switch to the D.Va, because he has grab. But now, Jinmu's very free.
Oh, and the grab gets sent out, but the Dragons coming in, preventing that rotation. The D.Va bomb finding Jonak. Meanwhile, Kalios is stuck in the room, but the Hunters now are going to hold this position. 1 minute and 40 seconds left for the NYXL to at least get point B.
Yep, Kalios switching. There we go. Okay, straight over to the D.Va. You can't not have the D.Va against this comp. There's too much spam coming out. The Hunters... once again, punishing every single inch that the NYXL want to take. Is so hard for them to kind of walk up to a choke because arrows, rockets, I don't know what the Orisa shoots, little bugs sometimes by the looks of it, the little green things, but
not frozen.
It does a lot.
Bricks almost. Ooh, Chengdu goes down. Gongbong, yeah, dropping down from the window. Now the NYXL, a free real estate. Monk just trying to get away, but that may not happen. Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be a cleanup here. NYXL have only 60 seconds, but the Hunters could actually contest them right here.
60 seconds remaining on Streets Phase 2. The spawns are going to be about even as well. So these neutral trades will not favor either side. In fact, it will favor the defenders more because the sightlines are going to be much quicker to actually get to. A few other Hunters. Nice direct. Can't find much. Jinmu, nanoed.
Oh, but he gets put to sleep. Wow, the fixation onto Jinmu to make sure he won't be a threat as he has a nano boost, just wasting as much time away from that as possible. He had the rocket barrage, but now he doesn't want to try to overextend. Kalios having that upper lip to deal with him, but he gets shut down. Kalios making sure that Jinmu doesn't get away with murder, and Monk goes down right with him. Also trying to get away, but you can't go anywhere. When Kalios made this switch to the D.Va, you called it perfectly, Jaws. This is exactly what you need when you have so much poke damage coming in from the Hunters.
Jonak carried that fight single-handedly. Not only did he sleep a nano Jinmu, who was heading straight for the backline, he slept Yveltal, plus, who is in Valk, by the way, plus he killed Leave at the start of that fight as well. He is doing God's work for the NYXL currently. A minute remains. 5-man EMP, though.
Fat EMP, finding 5 and an anti-2 onto late young. The NYXL are kicking things up, but the Hunters are coming right back, finding Jonak and Guangzhou, just trying to clean up any stragglers. But with Gaga going down with the supercharger, look how much damage that they've been taking, with Monkey Volto having to come back from the spawn to at least help restabilize everything. Flora now finding 2. They're just on a momentum run. Someone needs to stop the NYXL now, but you currently have the Hunters that can't even touch the point. They can't even stay on the payload. The D.Va bombs found 2 in the spawn, and now the Primal's gonna push the rest of the Hunters back in.
Oh my goodness! The supports carry on point B, the tanks carry on point C. Kalios and Yukpung absolutely slap the Hunters around. The Primal Rage to displace both the Pocket and a DPS from the Hunters, and the self-destruct launched in as well. They couldn't scurry for cover, they were getting juggled, and a nice double kill with the self-destruct did it. Oh, here's the Jonak replay I was talking about. So Jinmu flies in, he gets instantly slept. Look who's on the side. Uh-oh, yep, it's Leave. A nade into just the shot. Jonak did have rally armor, but you saw how much damage Leave did to him. It didn't even take any of that off. So, you know, if he didn't have rally armor, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. And then Jonak just goes to town again, just clipping Yveltal's heel there as he was in Valk. Jonak hard carrying that point B push there. But it's, like I said, the tanks paid it in kind on point C. They're granted another attack, Vicky, but it's only a single minute.
And every single time I see plays like that from Jonak, it reminds me of the time where I went to the NYXL pop-up in New York City, and they had Jonak's face painted on this gigantic wall. And it was actually insane. It's like seeing Jonak play and seeing plays like that are the reason why I'm reminded why Jonak has his face painted on a mural over there. But yeah, getting started up here. NYXL, they really want to come and keep that momentum going in for this attack. The Hunters, they know what the NYXL are planning, and they also know where Gaga loves to sit down in, though. Managing to poke Gaga's head right off to the side, throwing down that shield, and the NYXL are forced back off Jinmu, getting that first pick onto Guangzhou.
That damage, though, from Jinmu is kind of ridiculous. And remember, because Gaga are sitting in that position, NYXL kind of have to deal with him at some point, right? So they kind of all put their heads around. But the issue with doing that is you have Monk on the high ground with a very easy nade spot. They look at him, and Monk nades him. That's what they did last fight, and one anti will do the trick. 10 seconds remaining now. Nano onto the Winston.
Yep, Nano Boost already going in. Gaga also getting hit with an anti. Jonak taking a lot of pressure, but backing off in time. Kalios finishing things off on Jinmu. There's that pressure that won't be there as Ivelto was split up with some attention, getting that res on to leave. Now the NYXL is overtime sticking away. They've already got a one tick already, Jaws. The Hunters won't be able to touch here. Just waiting for that next choke point to shove them off the payload once overtime ticks away.
Yeah, the smart play there. You don't want to recontest. Yes, you probably could have done, but it's OT, so you might as well just wait just for a moment, get a way better position for yourself on this choke, push them off the payload like you said, and then hopefully take the round. They have a lot of space now with these ultimates coming up as well. They've got Barrage, they've got the Dragons, they're ready to rock and roll. This Supercharge as well is going to be deadly, but Flora already in position to try and hack someone.
Needs to build into this EMP, especially with overtime taking away. They need to stay on this payload. Does get a quick little hack onto Monk, but Monk has a nano boost, and here comes the Dragons.
Nice hold.
Jinmu still holding onto the barrage, but Kalios just jumping right into the line of fire as Jinmu has the rocket barrage, but they get off. Too much. It's those Dragons. That's what happens when you go through that enclosed space. The Dragons just clear everything off for the Hunters.
I'll say it again. The Hunters know their win conditions perfectly, like 2AT. 2 space-denying ultimates for the DPS. The Dragon Strike and the Barrage. Coupled with the Nano, does a little bit extra damage. They use the Dragon Strike, they halt everybody in, the tanks take so much damage that they're forced to back off. You saw Kalios knowing that he had to stay on the payload at about 10 HP before he gets demeched. And then what happens? Well, Jinmu just flies on by, uses that Barrage, gets coupled with the Nano, and it's too much damage for the NYXL to deal with. They know their win conditions. They play to them well. The Hunters have a clear win con for themselves now at this point. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Capture point A and get it through that choke point just after the payload unlocks.
You remind me of my stuffed bear, Arturito.
Honestly, the way that the NYXL played that pretty aggressively initially, their attack looking really good, but I'm wondering here what they could do with the Hunters having this 2-minute and 20-second time bank. Jinwoo's Pharah has just been an absolute threat here. Flora had that EMP at the very end, did get that hack, but yeah, having to stay on the payload with no time is so difficult when you have that Pharah ult and the Dragons to deal with all at the same time.
Now Jinmu just needs to set up. Yeah, so what he needs to do here is just set up in the back line, wait for this, wait for Gaga to regain his HP, then just dive straight in. Just get a hack. Perfect. Jonak instantly evaporates.
This is exactly what we saw in Hanamura, actually, from both Jinmu and Gaga. Although Gaga trades that, Monk won't be in this fight either, and it's looking like the NYXL come out on top. Not only that, but the amount of damage that they were able to put on in that room alone forces the Hunters back and wasting some of that extra precious time bank that they needed here. It was a great start for the Hunters, but unfortunately, the NYXL, they were not as grouped up as Gaga would have liked with that pile drive.
That was a nice hack, though, onto Kalios. Disabled his defense matrix and insta-kills to Jonak. Another one, in fact. Already, Guangzhou is sitting in a position. He's just so good at just knowing where they're going to be. But the problem is, leaves arrows a little bit better.
And both the supports are the first ones to go down from the NYXL. It's a matter of time before the NYXL drop down like dominoes. And now the Hunters, they successfully waver them off, and the NYXL need to get back quickly, because this is it for the Hunters, as they are going to be able to get this point, and the NYXL are going to desperately try to contest with less than a minute on board.
They end up taking the point. Now only 50 seconds remains, and guess who has ultimate? Oh, it's Leave, and Jinmu's coming up with his as well. This choke point versus only a rally from Friday to maybe save them is going to be deadly. Flora has to play perfectly right now, but he's instantly detected. They must know.
Oh, huge here, huge EMP. It's opportunity from Floor. The NYXL need to engage here. Gaga takes a lot of damage after having that Discord arm on them, but Guangbang goes down. Gaga wins this trade. Monk also has a Transcendence, but a rally for a rally. Friday already bursting through that first. Jonak doesn't have the Transcendence just yet. Needs it desperately, but the EMP isn't gonna even let Jonak have the Transcendence. The Hunters have cleaned up the NYXL, and there is that golden box of victory. Hunters have successfully taken map number 3 in the knockouts.
Yep, map number 3. Chengdu Hunters are 1 map away from knocking the NYXL out of contention for the Countdown Cup. What an amazing offense yet again from the Hunters. I mean, the EMP from Flora, yeah, Vicky, you said it was large, and it was. Problem is, there was no one to follow up, or basically no one. They had to really put themselves out of position. There was not really anything he could do. It felt like he panicked as he got detected, had to use the EMP because it was the last final moments. No one followed up, and then Leave used his. They were able to hunt down Kalios as well, get him out of that mech. Amazing stuff so far. Bright spots, though, for the NYXL. This could be a 5-game series if they take the next one. We're going to jump to a quick break. Do not go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss this next map.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Hey guys, welcome back.
Right,
Sorry, I thought you were doing the intro there. That's my bad.
No, you're good. I mean, I was going to take it away. Just thinking about the fact that we have the Hunters currently at match point, Jaws. I mean, just one more map, and they're qualified officially for the Countdown Cup. And the NYXL, they're putting up such a good fight. That last map was so close.
It was so close. Both teams managed to complete an entire round, then move on to the next. It was just the EMP with the ability to find the Flora very early on in Force his as well. I think both Sombras are playing extremely well on these on King's Row. They're both forcing transcendences. Their positioning's fairly decent as well. It was just a small fumble at the very end from Flora there. Felt like he panicked a little bit because he got detected. Big EMP, but there was very little follow-up, and the Hunters were able to capitalize on that. Right, next map though, and potentially final one as well for the NYXL. They need to bring this back. They need to send us to a map number 5. We will be going on to Havana, and this is where we see some long-range hit scan action. Guangzhou, Widowmaker, please. He was so cracked on it last time he played, and the Hunters, they better fear him. But we have got Jinmu still in, so the Farah very much a possibility too.
Yeah, this map is gonna provide a lot of those long-range angles, so that way the snipers could pop off. Not like we haven't had enough of that looking at King's Row, right, Jaws? So as we get set up here and we go into Havana, NYXL are keeping this really close. They even won on Hanamura. So as we see the Hunters get set up, I feel like since this team could basically play anything, we've seen success with that team playing so many different compositions. I'm wondering here if it's been enough time to watch what the NYXL has been doing to punish Jinmu on this Farah, kind of set their priority up for Evolto, and how they're going to try to counterplay into that.
Well, when they were doing that on Hanamura, the map they did end up taking, Vicky, they were waiting for Jinmu and Yveltal to dive into the backline. I don't know why I'm being so animated today. They go dive into the backline. And then who was sitting right underneath them? It was the Sombra. And she's just hack someone. They drop like a stone. And then they kill them. That's how they were dealing with it on Hanamura. Havana, a little bit of a different map though, when you think about it. Yeah, you can get those hacks, but everybody's so concentrated, especially on the first point to that one channel, that one road. Jinmu isn't going to be playing in the buildings at all. I mean, maybe you've got one person there going for an off angle, if you're someone like Leave, maybe. But the likelihood of you getting a hack off and then being able to capitalize on that without overextending seems pretty slim. So that Sombra strat, I think, is going to be shelved for just a little bit. They're going to rely on the long-range hit scan, that Widowmaker, maybe the Hangzhou, maybe even a McCree with a damage boost to deal with Jinmu's Farah. But then again, we might not even see him play that either. They might just go back to the Hangzhou and the Sombra themselves. So still all up in the air. Maybe forward hold. Just saying. Farah, pretty good at full holding.
Could happen, but can it happen on this map, though? That's what I'm wondering. You have a lot of that open space to work with, but you also have a lot of that verticality to kind of reset and have Veltal either help out Jinmu if necessary. But it all trickles down to this map, Jaws. The Hunters, again, are just one map away for qualifying officially for the Countdown Cup. It's so close. It's literally right there. But the NYXL, they're also putting on such a good fight. Could easily tie up this series, this map.
Very well could. Hunters are going to start on the offense for this one, and the NYXL on the defense. So the Hunters will be setting the pace car for this series. Oh, this map even. Like I mentioned, no massive substitutions. We saw a little bit of Hunters mix and match support yesterday, but the comp that they have now, at least the players that they fielded right now, definitely their best for this current hero pool. Okay, so let's have a look at the defense. Surprise, surprise. Guess who's on the Widowmaker? Yep, it's Guangzhou. What a shocker. Yukpung on the Orisa too. He's going to be able to anchor down. Can't imagine he's going to play on the high ground. That's probably just going to be Kalios' job. Yukpung just wants to sit on the side with his supports. And then just protect Jonak. Friday, going to do the same thing. Just protect General Jonak.
Jonak helping out the NYXL this season, doing such a good job allowing this team
I'd say every season.
In every season, right? Yeah, no, it's every season. I said specifically this season just because it's great to see how they've grown from the start to now. A really heavy contributor, of course, being Jonak. Look at the way they're holding that corner, too, with this Orisa. also having a Pung here, but already Lee taking off angle, but Monk is the first one to go down. Jonak starting his dominance here, being able to hold right back behind your Pung shield.
Tasty right click. Here we go. Guangbong's favorite angle. Jinmu even is going to disrupt him, however, and his job here is to go for these hacks, but controlling the high ground to the Sombra is so important. Stops a lot of those angles that Widowmaker can take. Gaga's going fairly low. Look how far forward the NYXL are pushing them back.
Charge that up, tearing down Gaga's shield before the rest of the Hunters take some space in that room. It's going to be Lee finding Guangbong's head. It's going to be the sniper, not going to be able to pressure a lot of these long range we were talking about earlier. Meanwhile, Kalio's getting DMAC'd, and the NYXL are dropping like flies. Despite that, though, you have to focus Jonak. He does go down, but he's taking leave with him. Flora also finding a pick, but with the Hunters successfully still on this cart, it's the NYXL that are going to have to reset real quick. But they will come back with the Transcendence and the Rally.
Yeah, no more Widowmaker either, actually, so Hangzhou is going to be the aim of the game here for the NYXL. A little bit more shield pressure too, but the Widowmaker versus Hangzhou, the Hangzhou can play a little bit more safe. You could just kind of peek for a microsecond and then jump back in. Oh my god!
Again? That's crazy! The Rally is nothing.
Just a nutcase. His arrows, I swear, have magnets on them for your head.
The fact that he gets it every time when he's falling down too is just insane. He just knows where to fixate that cursor, but now the Rally is not there from Friday, and the EMP coming in. Kalios goes down. We do find some trades here. Flora is being a threat on the back line, trying to find Volatile, who has that Discord on them, but with Monk and the Transcendence, it's going to be a lot more difficult. You may want to back off. Friday's going to go down again, but now Guangbong's back into the action. Not for long, as Monk finds his head, and now the Hunters clearing up this payload. Just a matter of time before Flora goes down.
It was a 2v1 turned to a 3v1 as Jinmu made his way back. They're still going to be able to stall, but against a Sombra, a little bit more difficult. That was Flora carrying that fight there, or went for the potential carry. He picked off 2 people as well. We weren't on his POV because we were watching Lee pop off, but Flora is doing a lot of heavy lifting here for the NYXL as well. Flora and Jonak Discord 1 target. Flora runs them down as the Tracer. Easy 1 clips when you have that Discord orb applied to a squishy.
Survivability too from Flora is really great. About to have the pulse bomb, so wanting to get into position at least to pressure out those backlines. Jinmu also finding a Pung as he does try to find positioning here. He has the minefields and the Diva bomb coming out. Young being able to get right back into that mech, and it's Lee that has that Dragons trying to block out these rotations as they are still on the high ground. Lee takes a lot of damage, but the minefields prevent the rest of the Hunters from backing off. They trade that for Friday and late Young, though, as Kalio's Diva bomb get a lot more out of it. Lee taking some pressure, but his off angles are forcing the NYXL to split some of that attention. And just like you mentioned, Jaws, the Discord Orb and Flora being able to get that follow-up. He needs some help, though. He needed some healing. He doesn't get it because too much pressure is getting put on from the Hunters on this high ground.
Yeah, they're just going to be able to chase him off. That fight looks very winnable for the NYXL there. Once again, Jonak and Flora teaming up perfectly to take down Lee. Transcendence being used now as well, but Yveltal's going to have that rally.
Just hanging out in the hallway, trying to block here. Flora goes down, not giving up this space. Quite literally, I've also looked at that Transcendence and I'm not giving this ground up. Now Guangbong's found Gaga with the Dragons and the NYXL. Very winnable as they make the rollout from the spawn. They're still contesting the payload, and Guangbong's found Leaves head. The Hunters back to the drawing board, but look how close they were on getting that second point, Jaws.
Oh, he kills him. That was the Battle of the Briggs down in the Gulag. Oh my word, Friday just comes out on top. He was sub 10 HP at one point there, I believe. 0.13 meters as well for the Hunters, but another good defense. Flora once more doing Lord's work. Guangbong actually popping off 2 on the Hangzhou. This is a very precarious position. They're luckily enough, though, that they are going to be able to take the high ground back, but it's so easily taken by the Hunters because they have this Orisa. They can slowly kind of move their shield up already. An arrow plus a couple of orbs ends the Hangzhou's life. NYXL are now down a man. Need that too.
Oh, Leaves still finding these picks here, and they have 3 ultimates to work with, but maybe not for long as Flora gets a double kill with the pulse bomb. Leaf has the Dragons, but every single time the Hunters get some sort of extension, the NYXL still find these picks, specifically Guangbong, who's going to get pulled from that window. There's nothing you can do in that moment, just a reset as the Hunters get point B.
They eventually get there despite Flora's best attempts with the double pulse bomb. Oh dear. Yep, they know exactly where Flora is. He should be able to go. It is Tracer. 3 blinks away, and he's back to the spawn. Right, the duel. Jinmu versus Jonak. Who is going to cave first? That is the question. Jonak went very far back too, but Jinmu knows exactly where he is. He's got this high ground position. However, detected pretty quickly. He's going to be scurrying away. Oh, I say scurrying away.
Oh, he gets right back in the action and finds Jonak too. The Diva Bomb getting the follow-up after that EMP. Lei Young with the perfect timing on that. It's a matter of time before Punk falls too. The rest of the NYXL getting sent straight back to the spawn. It's a cheeky play here from the Hunters, utilizing that EMP to its full force with the Diva Bomb.
That was ridiculous. Jinmu, he got detected twice. It looked like he was going to try and run back to the rest of his team, but just took a more advantageous position behind them, send the self-destruct as well to get itself a double kill. Oh, there's the Dragons. They're going to start the fight off, but there's the Transcendence. They've used the EMP, so they can use this one pretty freely.
And those minefields, too, that were getting sent out by Punk, just blocking in that rotation. But now the Transcendence from Monk is going to help stabilize everything for the Hunters. Ignore those minefields, get rid of them, and now Leave is on the high ground. He has positioning here where he can just look at the rest of NYXL, move from the spawn, and they've trickled into this room. Getting sandwiched here, the Hunters are still finding all these fights. The NYXL have not been able to put a toe on this payload.
They're going to be able to boot Kalios away. Yes, they are. Nice. Stun bash by Yveltal. 1 minute and 7 seconds on the scoreboard for the Hunters. And Jinmu had that EMP ready to go as well, so I don't think that would have been a very pleasant experience for NYXL to roll back into. Not a bad defense, though, I will say. Havana, a pretty tough map to actually complete, but winnable for the NYXL. Very winnable. But the Hunters, every single time they're on Hybrid, Assault, Escort, their ability to finish with more than a minute is pretty ridiculous. I will say that. There's never a time, I feel, when they're under a minute. So they can halt NYXL here and put them in a more precarious position for later rounds. Of course, they're not garnered free attacks or anything on this game mode, but finishing with over a minute is always nice. Here we go. This is what I thought they'd run on the defense, this full hold comp. Just run up and use those roofs as the Farah and the Mercy to glide off of. And then you're able to hold at the spawn doors. I'm sure you've done it in your ranked games before. And holding with the Orisa too, as Gaga slowly approaches. They don't want to give too much away, so they're just kind of crouching, but only one person will give it away. I mean, you're all kind of stomping around. Or maybe not a full hold? No, okay. I was going to say, maybe Gaga's just walking up to the corner, but no, it is going to be a full hold. What is he going to do? Well, he's going to sit in the corner. Here we go. Shield.
He's happy.
Right in front of his face. And there he is. Encapsulated.
Gaga having the time of their life. Meanwhile, they not only do they have to split some of that attention, you currently have Lei Young already moving all the way up to help out Gaga. Jinmu just trying to find this opportunity, deletes the immortality field, but he takes so much damage, they don't let him get away. Kalios making sure that Yveltal can't heal him fully. Hello? Even though he was trying to commit to the res, they find Yveltal, but the Hunters are still winning here. The spawn doors are right there for the NYXL, so right before they get out of those spawn doors, they're going to keep up that pressure, and the Hunters are forced to reset before blocking out that next point.
Nice pick onto Jinmu to start us off. He went very, very aggro. Very, like, right up in their face trying to kill that mortality field. As soon as he gets that out of the way, he can basically get a barrage in a couple of hits, but was rather unlucky. Kalios chased him down. Jinmu now on the Genji instead, so Nano Blades are on the table. And Leave almost with an EMP. There's a lot less for NYXL to save them here from this EMP. The Immortality field, it does a little bit, but it's not going to survive long against the Focus Fire.
Yeah, it's something to consider here, since the Transcendence won't really help out, and the EMP is already coming online for this next fight. Jinmu taking a lot of damage again, but he gets saved up. Monk does have this nano boost. No blade here, but Yveltal going down leaves a Monk just to keep everybody else alive. Jinmu has that nano boost, but you see he has to play a lot more passively because he gets deleted. And that's what happens when you have Kalios here beaming you down, even without some of that energy. Now the NYXL have this first point.
Yeah, very, very nice pacing as well. They used the rally in that fight. They've got a lot of ults coming up as well. They can take the high ground pretty easily. Gaga is in the back trying to spawn camp. Yeah, and Leaves there too. Okay, they trade one for one. I'm sure. What are you... That's just so silly. You're like, they've capped and you're in their old spawn trying to kill the Kree. Okay. Anyway, what I was saying was NYXL should be able to take this high ground fairly easily using this supercharger. The only issue is Leave is going to be on the back line. He is facing them now. Just with
he has no fear. No fear. Meanwhile, Friday gets taken out. No rally anymore for this fight here. Guangzhou also taking that anti. Flora getting saved by the Immortality Field and does get hacked. Even still in their backline, uncontested, by the way, by the NYXL. Kalios just trying to get still more of that energy. The Hunters have that positional advantage. They're looking great here despite trading Jinmu, who's been taking a lot of that initial damage, but he's going to be able to come back with the blade, and Monk is going to have the super, the nano boost. Forced to back off here as the NYXL clear some space for themselves, and Gaga still contests.
Gaga has been very annoying. His defense is being rather frustrating to deal with, but yeah, he eventually goes down. Yokong now on the Winston for a little bit more dive. Nano boost available for the Blade, like you were saying. EMP Nano Blade, like you ain't surviving against that. There is no hope for you. Friday used the rally previously too, so very little.
Yeah, that's why I've got the leader of the EMP now, and the Blade moving in. The Nano Blade, Jonek goes down. The Immortality Field, even though it saved Kalios on Friday, it doesn't matter because 3 of the NYXL are gone as Jinmu gets that 3K, make it 4, and the rest of the Hunters clean up shop. Now they're going to be able to move up into position, and the NYXL have to deal with the fact that they have less than 3 minutes now to get that second point.
Yeah, I mean 3 minutes though in point B. That's Vicky. That's not that bad.
Yeah, no, that's
you've
pretty
already
good.
got it
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you've got it pretty good for yourselves as well. Like you have the pulse bomb with the graviton surge. You only really need to target Late Young in this situation. Ideally, is a lot less protection for Jinmu, a lot less protection for Gaga as well. It doesn't have to go crazy here. Don't have to go sicko mode. Oh, speaking of sicko mode, okay, Giant with a nice sleep.
Oh, sending a message. The grab, but Kalios is anti. He takes a lot of damage, and Guangzhou goes down again. The pulse bomb from Flora attaches itself to Gaga. You see the NYXL, they're going to move onto this high ground slowly after getting those 2 initial picks. Gaga's going to be able to get right back into the action quickly, though. Meanwhile, the rally moving in from Friday, but the anti on the Jonek getting boinked on the head. Yopeng forced to back off. Does send out that dome, and Flora's right there to help them out. They want to make sure they do something about Yveltal, and they do exactly that as Kalios shuts down that rally, and Yopeng shuts down Monk. No support from the Hunters and no sustainability left. You see Gaga still trying to contest for as long as possible, but it's not going to be for very long here, Jaws, as the Hunters, just a matter of time before the NYXL get the second point.
I really think Jinmu should switch off this Genji now. Again, sunk cost fallacy with the Blade, but they are getting things done with it, but they're using 3 ults to win a fight. Kind of unlike Hunters, where sometimes they only need 1. EMP and Nanoblade, that's a large investment just to win these. 3 minutes, well, another 3 minutes for the NYXL on point C now.
There's a nano boost here from Jonak. Kuboku gets put to sleep though to wait that out, waste that nano boost, and hack 2 while he's at it. Meanwhile though, Floor getting another post bomb double kill. He's been so consistent with these and finding both of the tanks too, taking full advantage of the fact that both Gaga and Late Young were really low.
Wow, Flora, again, just the backpack, the size of it is just insane. Nanoblade, though, with EMP available, should be a fairly easy one to execute.
Ooh, talk about that. Now Jinmu's going to move in with the Blade. That's a green light here. Ready, set, go. And now the rest of the Hunters, they know that they can take right back with this control on the point. And the NYXL are forced to back off in the situation. But they do have the Primal, and they're making some swaps with Gumbong going over to the Sombra.
I'm still surprised Jinmu is... Okay, there we go. Ooh, okay. A little bit of
all right.
No, yes, no. Okay, there we go. He's staying on the tour. I love to see it. Okay, that's a very good swap by the NYXL. Held tab for a couple of seconds. They see Jinmu on the tour and switch over to something that can actually deal with it. They've got the Hangzhou now. Instead. Still a very frustrating thing to deal with, especially if the turret is off angle. Kalios with the grab, though, can launch it in at any moment.
Oh, maybe not anymore. He gets launched back to the spawn, and so does Yopeng. Leave. Terrorizing these tanks. Now another anti onto Gaga. Trade that here, but the Hunters, their spawn is right behind them, Jaws. And now with another win with this team fight, the NYXL have only a minute left to get that last point.
1 minute remains. They've got the grab, they've got the pulse, the rally, the nanos coming up. Like every single one of their ultimates is coming up right now. The Chengdu Hunters, they're 90% on that rally of their own. They need this ASAP to survive all this incoming damage, Vicky.
Now here comes the grab from Late Young. Only catching Friday, but it's going to be a great first pick as the rally won't be here to start things off for the NYXL. Comes a nano boost, but Lee finding Kalios too, off to the side. There's a straggler, he doesn't let him get away. Yopeng, meanwhile, is on the other side, closer to the Hunter's spawn, and he actually gets the boop here with the Primal. It also goes down, and so does Monk, and that's going to be a great start for the NYXL, forcing the Hunters back. That's clearing some space, and both the tanks have to get out of here. Flora doesn't let Gaga get away. Late Young now is being one of the stragglers to be left from the Hunters.
16 seconds now remains, Vicky, and look at the ultimates coming online for the Hunters. They've got 5 ults. They're only missing this Gravis on Surge. Kalios has his online too, and they do have Rally, but it looks almost impenetrable, this base right now.
Exactly, essentially, since the Hunters have more ultimates, here comes the Dragons to stop the rotation, but then the multi-core to double down on that, that's the problem. That's why this swap was so important from Jinmu. This is the opportunity for the Hunters to solidify their win, and they do. 3-1, the Hunters move on into the Countdown Cup tournament.
3-1, the Hunters are elated. Oh my goodness, what a combo at the very end there. I praise them for their ability to only use maybe 1 to 2 ultimates per fight. Their ultimate rotations are just so quick and clean. The Hunters are just on another level, honestly. They are one to be feared in the Countdown Cup, especially in this hero pool. We bid adieu to the NYXL after that one. A valiant attempt, honestly. They did end up taking their second map against the Hunters this year in the series. It was Hanamura, but it was the Hunters winning it out after all. My goodness, the #1 seed advances for the Eastern region into the Countdown Cup. Vicky, what a showing, honestly. The very end when they swapped over to the Torb, I'm like, okay, very frustrating to deal with. But it was actually Leave that saved them. These headshots coming out from the Hangzhou were just ridiculous. Like, Kalios was trying to make a lot of space for himself, but Zarya's head hitbox and just hitbox in general, yeah, it's kind of large. Like, Leave ain't going to miss those shots. He even used the bubble on himself. It got burnt through, and then a double dink to the head with the arrows. Instantly killed him off. And it stops a lot of that momentum building as well for the NYXL. And you saw them grab super early. They managed to grab 1 person, Friday, he instantly gets taken out, and then Leave was on the flank on the Hangzhou. Like, they're so good at mastering every single second in their time bank as well. And our player of the match, Vicky, let's talk a little bit about this guy too, Jinmu. His Pharah play today, just piece the resistance.
Even though the Hunters won that 3-1, Jaws, I'm shaking right now because it's similarly to what we had seen the Hunters do on King's Row, where they had the barrage. You saw Jinmu control so much of that space. You had Leave and the Hangzhou Dragons control most of that space. Now you have the Molten Core instead in this situation. And at that point, what do you do against that choke point? You also have the Dragons blocking your view. It's just, the Hunters have so many tools to work with, and that's why this is one of the favorite teams when you take a look at the other teams that could potentially take the Countdown Cup. Well, look at the Hunters and look no further, because this team, and with Jinmu on the Pharah, just look at this. He was such a threat throughout this entire stage, Jaws, and this is the reason why. Even on the Genji, having some of that help from Monk, the Nano Blade, this is where you see Genji shine. And they pulled out so many different compositions just so that way they could readapt around the NYXL. But it's at the speed that they understand their win condition, like you were talking about, that I think is the most highlighted part when you take a look at this team.
Yeah, these plays are so clean. I want to go as far though on Hanamura. There was a lot of moments where it looked completely lost for the Hunters, but he just comes back in with the Nano and direct after direct after direct after direct. Like, this guy does not miss. I'm a little, it's like, at this point, of course, Leave is the runner-up for
127.
Yeah, I mean, that is insane. In an entire match as well. Unreal, unfathomable, honestly. I mean, Leave is in the contention for the MVP this year, but you could make a statement for Jinmu as well. Hunters end up taking the series. Jinmu looking great, and the Hunters advancing. We will have one more team advancing a little bit later on as well. The Philadelphia Fusion, they will take on the Seoul Dynasty, the 2nd and 3rd seed for the 2nd team from the Eastern region to make it to the Countdown Cup. This has been a very, very good hero pool, I think, for a lot of the Eastern region teams, Vicky.
Yeah, and with that being said, don't go anywhere. We're going to be going on to a quick game break, but there's going to be some more action on the other side. We'll see you on the other side of this break.
Our final game break of the year, Vicky. We just saw the Hunters take down the NYXL, and the Hunters, they see themselves in the Countdown Cup as one of 2 teams for the Eastern region. 3-1 as well. But NYXL, they did still look pretty decent, especially on Hanamura, the map they did end up taking. But the ultimate economy game from the Hunters is just too strong. And what more you really need to say? Hero pool, looking great.
Yeah, honestly, when I take a look at the Hunters and you talk about who you expect to take the Countdown Cup, honestly, I'm putting my stonks into the Hunters because they're looking amazing. Looking at the competition, too, as now they solidified their spot in the Countdown Cup bracket. we're excited to see what they pull out when it comes to these different compositions that they've been able to swap to on the fly, and with such amazing timing too to build up, whether it be the Somber EMP at the very end or even the Molten Core from the Torb. The Hunters have their plan and they're setting it in motion.
Yeah, they really are. I'm very excited to see them, and another team will join them too, like I mentioned before. Seoul Dynasty and Philadelphia Fusion coming up on your screens in just a moment. But Hunters now take it. Right, so I asked you what song name it would relate to the series just past. I think I gave you a movie title before.
Yep.
And a vegetable and a fruit before that. But if you could describe, and you can't cheat with this one, you can't say panda, but describe the series with an animal name. Or like an animal, like the animal would relate to how the series went.
Ooh. That's tough when you say I can't say panda, but it makes sense.
That's cheating, yeah. Yep.
You know what? I'm going to say a dragon, because the dragons aren't here. And the biggest threat right now, other than the dragons, looking at the APAC region, I would say are the Hunters. I would definitely say a dragon. And I think that the Hunters are going to breathe fire on the rest of the competition. So we'll definitely see what they have in store for us. But Jaws, I actually can't believe it, but that's going to be our last series of the season. And it just, I don't know where did the time go? I just don't understand. Where did it go? It literally flew
it just
past
disappeared.
us.
It really did. It's been crazy quick. It has been crazy quick. But it's all thanks to a lot of good Overwatch. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, well, I want to answer that question actually as well, because I did kind of think of a good one. I'd say like, I was either going to go with like a snow leopard or some sort of other big cat, because the Hunters, they've been creeping up on people, I think. A lot of people had expectations of the Hunters coming in, but they've, I think, smashed them at this point. I know they've smashed them at this point, and they've creeped up on everybody, and now they're pouncing. They're striking. They're ready to rock and roll. I believe that's 12-4 their overall. I'm trying to cheat, but I can't because I look to my left. I believe that, no, 11-5, sorry. Their overall season record so far, and going into the Countdown Cup, they're really just a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what else the Hunters have in store for us. But Jaws, that isn't our last series just yet. There is another series coming up for you guys in the East. Thank you everyone for tuning in. But, you know, as this first match gets everything started for the Knockout Sundays for today, Achilles and Avro are going to take you through the Seoul Dynasty versus the Philadelphia Fusion series. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. And Jaws, it's been a pleasure. It's going to be our last cast for the Overwatch League 2021 season. And guys, don't go anywhere. There's going to be some more Overwatch League action on the other side of this break.